go, so ready to continue on with the job. Obviously I've given it a tack rag down already. I went over and put the fine line tape where I thought it was necessary. What I did was give myself a little tab, that way I can peel it up here and here when I'm ready to. And yeah, right to go. Gunman Edition Pro Light, my fave. Yep, full fluid, 25 PSI. And half a turn in on the fan. So I'm not surprised that it's not covering that well. I would have been more surprised if it did cover. I know some people might say, oh, why didn't you put some wet on wet or seal it down so that it's all the same colour? My answer is because I don't want any wet on wet inside that door jamb edge. I'd rather put another coat or an extra coat or two on than have a dirty edge. That's terrible with the coverage, so we're just going to smash 2 coats on in the first coat. I deliberately made up an extra bit of colour because I knew that it wasn't going to cover. It's actually not too bad now. That's where you would usually be after your first coat, but we've put 2 coats on. I've decided I'm probably not going to do the video footage of the base coat on the bumpers, so I'll see you guys back here once I've dried that down. We're ready for our second coat. Rightio, so that took forever to dry. I had to blower on that. It must have been about 5 minutes. One part of the reason is that I put so much on, but the other part, it's raining outside, so it's humid, high humidity. When there's water in the air and you're trying to dry water, well, obviously it's going to take longer. But so this second coat here, you can see it actually wasn't covered very well. So as it dried, you could see it was actually becoming more and more see-through as it dried. So I'm just doing, so that's like three coats with the first setting. Now from here we should be right to just do my standard half a turn in 5 PSI, half a turn in 5 PSI with the 2 more coats. Anyway, same thing, I'll turn this cam off. You know what, I'm going to go a bit heavier. Jeez. PPG, man, they need to do what Standox have done. Get some really good covering base coat. Anyway guys, I will flick the cam off and I'll see you when we're ready for the, what is it, 4th or 5th coat. Alright, so I ended up using pretty much all of my colour. I had 650 mils to start off with, and it's still see-through, man. It's actually starting to get pretty annoying. Can you see that? That is actually the same shade as primer as they recommended. Like on that, when you mix the colour up, they've got a recommended shade of primer and it's G5. So basically I'm doing what they said to do. As I say, I did do 2 colour codes. I actually found the G5 was better. Turns out I probably should have used the darker, but that's pretty crap, man. Like any solvent-based paint pretty much would cover better than that. It's actually starting to get pretty annoying. So I'm going to have to put another wet coat. Like, yeah, I don't know what else to say. Like, you can see it. I had to go out and mix up another 300 mils, so I'm not going to have enough colour. So hopefully from here, I'll be able to do my last 2 coats. Anyway, we'll see how we go. So yeah, this is what I do in between coats. I just stand here, and stand here, and stand here, and wait for this stuff to dry. Like, if this was Stando Blue, man, I'd be out there on the next job. And as any business owner knows, the most expensive part of running your business is labour. So when you're paying, you know, top wages to a good painter to stand there with an air blower in his hand and just put coat after coat after coat, it gets expensive. That's why, I mean, I've got nothing against PPG, and most of the time they're not that bad, but time is money. So I think they need to, I don't know, even if it's just copy Standox's paint, like, because it's by far and away superior to this. The coverage, the speed of application, like one visit, you know. especially on the humid days like today. Alright, I'm happy that we're around 85% coverage. So we're at the stage where I'm usually at after 1. But I've put so many on, I think I've lost count. It's above 6, it's 5 or 6, something like that. So a little bit extreme. Now is the time when we start changing those settings. So yeah, get coverage and then do your second 2 coats. I think I'm going to even give this base coat a bake. So I saw a little cut through up here, so you couldn't even really see it with the press sole over there, but you could see it when it was dry. Anyway, yeah, one more coat. Alright, so last coat, finally. Same thing, half a turn in, 5 psi. So I've just about used a litre on 3 panels. You can probably tell I'm getting a little bit fed up with this colour. It's been like over half an hour since I've started putting the base coat down. Anyway, I'll see you when we're ready to clear. Rightio guys, so we're ready to clear this job up now. I actually ended up giving it a 10-minute bake in between base coat and clear coat. I did give it a blow as well. I know some people are going to say, oh, you can trap the water under a skin, but I'm confident that it's dry enough. I wouldn't be clearing over it if I wasn't. But we do have to give it a good tack bag down, specifically because we put so many coats of base coat down. You can get that sand piling effect, especially over those blend areas. So I reckon I've nailed the thinning ratio finally. I know it's been a while, but I think part of it is because PPG with their mixing ratios are just so weird. Like, they're unlike any other paint system I've ever used. So most paint system would say 3:1 plus 10%. Or 3:1 plus 5 to 10%, something like that, you know what I mean? Whereas this, it's like 3:1 to 0.8, and it's not plus either. So I actually did just figure it out on the computer as a percentage, and it's about 0.8, 3:1 to 0.8 is about 15%, but it's not plus 15%, because 3:1 to 1. So, as I say, it gets more confusing than I even care to talk about. I met a guy in the comment section, and he's like, oh, but 2:1 to 1 would be 10%. I'm like, no, it wouldn't. Like, and it's like I had to think about it more than I would like to admit. Because I had to do the maths, and I'm like, no, it's not. 2:1 to 1 is not 10%. Because the last one is determined on the first number. So if you go 2:1 to 1 on that, the 1 is going to be different than 3:1 to 1, if you know what I mean. So yeah, I mean most paint systems, they would just go 2:1 plus 10%, and the plus actually is important. It's not inclusive, if you know what I mean. So the plus means it goes on top of the 2:1. So 2:1 would be 2 parts clear, 1 part hardener. So 2 litres of clear, 1 litre of hardener, plus 10%, which is 3 litres all up. So you put an extra 300 mils. Whereas it's totally different if it's 2:1 to 1 or 3:1 to 1, you know? Yeah. But yeah, that's basically a long way of saying it took me a long while to actually, that's probably why it took me so long to figure out the right spinning ratio for this clear, and I'm finally able to get nice glassy jobs with this clear. So what I've actually been doing is 3:1 plus 0.9. So this is the LVC 136 clear coat, 3:1 plus 0.9. And I think that as a percentage, I think it works out to like 16.5% or something like that. But that's inclusive, that's not plus. That's where it gets confusing. Anyway, I'm going to give that a few minutes. I'm going to go find something to do. I've already cleaned out the base coat gun today, but I'll go find something to do. But that's looking nice and glassy, nice and flat, a nice tight finish. It's not too orange peely. Previously my jobs were coming up too orange peely. I wasn't that happy with them. Anyway, yeah, I'll be back here in 5 minutes. I do like to do this as a 2-coat system. This clear. Rightio, so I gave that a few minutes, probably 5 minutes. I went out there and sussed out my next job, and that's nice, and that's flashed off nicely. And yeah, we're right to go. So just a touch below 2 bars, because as I say, I'm at 0.9% reducer, so I found the more reducer that you've got in your clear, you can drop that pressure down just a little bit. Actually a little bit surprising how much just a little bit of reducer difference, just a little bit more or less reducer makes. Because like when I was mixing it up at 0.8, I found it was just a bit chunky. Actually not so bad for like European vehicles. It kind of gives that European thick chunky finish. But then I found that like at 1 or 0.1, yeah, sorry, 3:1 to 0.1, that's right. I found that it was too thin. So I went to 0.8 and it was just perfect. So yeah, I mean, in 1 litre it only ends up being about like 10 grams. So it really isn't much, but you're actually quite surprised at how much of a difference it makes. It's actually looking good, mate. That reminds me of the standard clear. Nice glassy. More than sort of like a Japanese or American type finish, more so than the European finish. Australian too, I guess. Not that we make any cars anymore, we used to, but unfortunately. actually come up pretty nice. I mean, it might have taken a little bit longer than usual with all those coats of base coat. And this is really just a quick, cheap, nasty 2-minute job type thing. The original paint under there, it's got stone chips and the colour's miles out. Maybe somebody else had some problems with their coverage too, by the looks of it. But they didn't put enough coats on, whereas I obviously have. So this is what we'll do now. Peel this false edge masking off. I'll do the same with that blue fine line. Nice and easy. Now I've got those little tabs. Any edge that we've got there, it's going to melt in while it's nice and fresh. Again, I've got myself a little tab here. All good. I managed to get some trim lifting tape under the top, which is good, and I'm actually really happy with that one. Yeah, I'm glad I finally figured out that fitting ratio with this clear. We'll get these off and then we'll give you a look over the job. I'll take you out of the casing there so maybe you can see. Well, at least we finally got it covered. We've got a nice glassy looking finish over that. It's actually pretty nice and clean too. But yeah, I mean, look, the walls might have a bit of overspray on them. You know, sometimes you might have a bit of paint on your suit, but it's not going to stop you from getting nice, clean jobs. Not to say I'm always going to get the most perfect jobs, but I'll do my best with what I got, man. I'm not trying to say I'm the best painter, I'm not trying to say I'm perfect, but just follow my journey, guys. Follow the journey. There we go. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed watching, and hopefully we'll have another one for you guys tomorrow. Until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out. Hey, don't forget to go and support the show by getting yourself some Gunman merch. There's a link in the description. Get yourself paint suits, heaps of stuff, hats, all that stuff. Anyway, see you in the next one. Gunman out. Boom!